When the blitz is on, you need to protect your most valuable asset. That's why the NFL looks to Cisco Security, powered by AI, to protect their data from cyber attacks. When the game is on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
So I would say they came out and practiced like true professionals. Great energy. Today, we'll clean up all the things over the week. We'll work our way into the red zone, which I would say, in regards to the red zone, especially offensively, we just got to do a better job. We got to do a better job in the red zone, and that has definitely been a point of emphasis. Going into the game, we look to play another complimentary football game. All three phases really going out there performing the way that we expect. So, good.
Jerod, yesterday you had 3 new players in the injury report as well, Kyle, Jermichael, and Leighton. Has that endangered their status or availability for Sunday at all?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's still up in the air. We have to get through this practice to see how they feel. And really, after they get through the practice, is how they feel the next day. That's really the most important. So we'll see how that works out.
The quarterbacks, as you sort of like balance Jacoby and Drake, like getting Jacoby ready to play in the game, but develop Drake, do you envision sort of like a 70-30 type split in practices?
Who told you that? Who told you that? No.
Be transparent,
Okay.
Because I didn't want to do that to the reporter because I don't think it's right. It was on the TV.
Yeah.
And so this is fully transparent. They mentioned something on the
for sure.
on the TV.
No, that's definitely accurate. It's not a secret. We have a quarterback, in the wings that needs to continue to develop. And normally, I would say, normally it's the starter gets, let's say, 95% of the reps, and the backup doesn't. With this is a little bit different, and we had a conversation. How do we? I guess the struggle is how do you get your starting quarterback prepared for the game and also continue to develop the guy in the background, which is Drake. And so it is like a 70-30 split. You're right on the head, and we were very thoughtful. And when we talk about, we have a development plan for Drake. That's part of it. And I try not to get too deep into, what that plan actually looks like, but he still takes reps with the starters. He does a good job on the show team as well, and he's doing a good job. And you can see his confidence continuing to grow.
How would you describe the show?
The show team. So, we always have to get the practice squad players out there to give a good look. What I will say is, and this has been the same over many years, where the starters will sometimes take the first 2 or 3 reps, which I think is important as well, so they can see what it's going to look like on Sunday. But there's nothing more important, and I've expressed this very explicitly to our show team. They are the most important people during the week in regards to wins and losses on Sunday. And so if they can't go out there and execute a card, then they're not giving us a good look, and now you go into Sunday feeling a little bit unprepared. And so those guys are a mix of, let's say, starters and also the practice squad. Now, in saying that, I would say, the way that Elliott and I look at the practice squad is, these guys have to get ready to play as well. And so there are certain things where we're evaluating them on their technique on that side of the ball as well. So it's not just, just go out there and running cards.
I just didn't know if that was different than scouting.
Oh, sorry. I could have just said that. It's a scout team. Sorry, my bad. I gave you a whole rant. On what it is. No, it's okay.
It's still the dirty show.
The dirty show. Yeah, the dirty show. That goes back, Pepper Johnson, all those guys, the dirty show team. And, to go out there and play with good energy and still compete, at a high level, I think it's good for the other players that are trying to develop and make our roster.
Rob, regarding the challenge of getting a starter ready with the 70-30, I would imagine that there are a lot of starting quarterbacks that don't want to give up each quarter of the snaps. What is it about Jacoby that he can get ready?
Yeah. Yeah, since day one, I've always said that he's a true professional. I've always said that he's a great mentor, not only for Drake, but the other quarterback in the room, and Milton. And he understands. Look, he's a professional. He's won games in this league. He understands that we drafted Drake as the number 3 pick in the draft, and looking out the front windshield, at some point in time, I don't know when that time will come, that he'll have to go out there and play. And just seeing the relationship and the relationship in the quarterback room has been special for me. It is very hard, and when we talk about checking your ego at the door, I would say that Jacoby's one of those guys that is egoless. He wants to do what's best for the team. Not about him, whether he throws for 150 yards or 350 yards. He's very consistent and just a true professional.
With some injuries at guard, are you guys committed to keeping Michael Wenu the tackle, or is it still possible that he could move back over to guard?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think, especially early in the season, we're still trying to figure out what the best combination looks like. But I will say it's a blessing to have players that have that flexibility that can move to guard, to tackle, to right, to left, and things like that. So we'll see how it plays out.
Jerod, you mentioned the red zone offensively, 1 for 4, I think, last week. Just like, what do you see when you watch the film as to some of the reasons? I know there's a million reasons probably, but
I think the main reason is just maintaining focus and executing. And so as you continue to work in the red area, now the safeties become more in play. The field is shrinking this way, and everything happens a lot faster. And so we just have to be able to process faster and really be tight on executing the plays. And it's not just one person, it's all 11 that's out there. So to me, that's the biggest thing.
there were some opportunities maybe to put the ball in the end zone through the air in the red zone, it seemed like, but AVP said that it's kind of like a risk reward for Jacoby in those spots sometimes. Like, how do you view that, him like sort of giving guys a chance versus taking the 3 points?
Yeah, I think that it depends on, I mean, it's a game-by-game basis. That's what I would say first and foremost. And then secondly, I would say anytime you're in a red area, you want to walk away with points, whether that's 3 or 7. The most important thing is that we don't go backwards and that we walk away with points. And so that's my philosophy on that. Now, there'll be times where you're right. They're going to stack the box and we have to be able to throw the ball. And there'll be other times where, as these receivers continue to develop and our tight ends, they want to take those guys away that we run the ball. And so it's really a game-by-game basis.
During training camp, a lot of the coaches talked about the use of virtual reality as a tool in quarterback development. Has that been implemented with Drake so far?
Those guys have all used the virtual reality system. And, going back to the training camp, not to look in the past, you guys asked the question, like, how do these guys get reps? That's when Zappy was here as well. And they have these different tools that they use to get those mental reps. And those are those are great reps for those guys to get. I know oftentimes everyone's like, well, what's the practice count and what's this, what's that? There are different ways that you can get reps mentally, which is important.
Jerod, I know this is just 1 week.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
When I was finished with it, I was like, maybe I didn't answer the question.
How have you seen Drake utilize that tool given the deduction and practice reps now that the season has started?
He's, going back to the 70-30, like he's still getting reps with the first team offense at times. He's also getting a lot of reps on the show team. But, it's just, the virtual reality thing, he uses it every single day, and so do the other quarterbacks. So it's been good.
Jerod, I know this is 1 week, and you guys partly contributed to this, but in week 1, defenses spent 60% of their snaps in too high. And you guys spent a good chunk of your snaps in too high. That's a big shift from the last 5, 6, maybe 10 years. Can you speak to that? What do you see in that trend across the league, dropping into that structure more often?
Yeah, when you play too high structures, I mean, there are a lot of good quarterbacks in this league. There are a lot of good receivers in this league, and sometimes you want to kind of force these offenses to drive the ball. You don't want them to get it all in one play, and I would say that's the main thing. Make these offenses drive the ball down the field. It gives you your best chance to win.
Defensively, when you're looking at a group of receivers that has a diverse set of skills, why is that a challenge? Because it looks like the Seattle group, they all are very different. They're top 3 guys.
No, that's right. And you try to, as you continue to build out the roster, you try to have defensive backs that can match whatever skill set they want to throw out there. Now, sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes you'll have a 6'5" receiver versus a 5'10" corner based on just the roster. Now, that 5'10" corner could be a Pro Bowl player, but there comes a point in time where this guy's parents were taller than your parents, and it's hard to really match. And so going back to the split safety coverage, you got to give some help over the top depending on what those matchups look like. And so if you look at a shifty guy, it's a true double team. If you look at a vertical threat, it's a true split safety structure. Can I just say, so you guys, I like to educate you guys on some of these things. Like, this game is all about adjusting on the fly, right? And so if they start to do too high structures, what does that mean up front? Like, you have one less person in the box, and so now the run game becomes a problem. Same thing if you have a one high structure. Now they're saying we dare you to run it, but now the outside, the receivers and those, they have to win on the outside, and it's just this, the game within the game, this tug of war that goes back and forth. Now, truth be told, you would want to play a too high structure and still be able to stop the run, and that's when if you're able to play a too high structure and stop the run, then you're probably going to have a good day.
Cyclical nature of the game, do you see maybe a trend more towards running again, like with teams like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes? It feels like their team has tried to give them really strong run games. Do you think maybe it's starting to lean more in that direction?
Well, the two quarterbacks that you just named, they're phenomenal players. And look, if you're going to take away all the receivers, that's the right thing to do. And that's why we always talk about not having an ego. Like, you can go out as a receiver and have 30 yards catching this week or maybe 150 yards catching this week. And so once again, if guys want to start to take away the run game from Buffalo and from Kansas City, then you're going to have to hang in there on the back end. So that's the back and forth.
With David and Ramondre, were those just bet days on Wednesday? And do you plan on giving those to guys moving forward?
They both, they played a lot of snaps in the game, and sometimes they have little nicks and things like that. I fully expect them to play.
Last week you talked about you got to control the line of scrimmage on the ball. I think I remember hearing if you had something similar this week, anything you should be looking out for that you need to do to win.
Yeah, for me, it's we have to see how they want to play us, and I would say we have a pretty good game plan either way they want to play us in any phase of the game. We will always look to control the line of scrimmage. We will always look to control the line of scrimmage. We'll always look for ways to control a game. We've all been a part of games where even when we were down, we felt like we really had control of the game. And then when you're up and you feel like you have control of the game, then that's great. So, not to look in the past, there was a time in that Cincy game, we felt like we had a pretty good control of the game overall. And then there was a point in the third quarter where it's like, all right, let's make sure let's get back to what we did the first half, and then regain control. So we'll always look to run the ball, and I feel pretty confident about passing the ball as well. Thanks, guys.